Thank you so much for that warm welcome. And I have to say, it's really jarring to see a picture of yourself like 10 feet high. So thank you so much for welcoming me here today. It is genuinely my honor to share a stage with so many individuals that have inspired me and who I have watched with envy over the years as they dedicate themselves to creating positive change in our community. My name is Kadyn Wittman, and I'm here today to talk to you about something that's really personal to me, which is embracing the journey. Not that. Trusting the process and finding the courage to begin. Now, trusting the process and embracing the journey sound like things that you would see on a mug in your kitchen, or maybe even on a poster in a dorm room. And there's a reason why they're cliches. It's because this is what we say to somebody when they're struggling. This is what we say to our friends when they're going through their own journey and they're trying to figure out what the process is for whatever their goal might be in the end. I think about the times that I looked at individuals, and a lot of them were on the stage here today, and I admired their perseverance, and I admired their grit as they were learning how to navigate their own journey and their own process. And I'm here to tell you that when you are the one who's in the middle of the shitstorm, and when you're the one who's in the middle of the journey, it's a lot less inspiring to have someone tell you to trust the process and embrace the journey. It is not as glamorous as it seems, and what I have found through all of the different things that I've attempted to do in my life is that the process itself is incredibly messy, it's incredibly uncomfortable, and there have been a lot of times in my life where the process itself was beyond confusing. When I was younger, and by the way, I didn't get the memo that we were incorporating cute pictures of ourselves as kids, and I probably would have done that in this slide, because what I want to talk to you about is how when I was younger, I thought that there was a really clear delineation between what was good, what was bad, what was right, what was wrong, black and white. I started my journey bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full of optimism and ideals for how I thought the world should be. When I initially decided to run for office, I wanted to win, but I also wanted to do the right thing. Growing up, that was so important to me, was being right. I wanted to be on the right side of the argument with my parents. I look at the work that I do in politics, and I'm determined to be on the right side of history. And that's been an incredibly powerful motivator for me throughout my journey. But there have been a lot of times in my life where that self-righteousness of feeling like I knew what was right, I knew what was best, it blinded me. As I have continued on this journey that we call life, and I have met so many individuals that have different perspectives than me, that have had different journeys, that have offered me different advice, I've slowly realized that the world does not operate in black and white. It's filled with nuance, it's filled with messiness and change. And I also have realized the world is full of people, everyone in this room, just like me, who are doing their best to navigate incredibly complex, individualized realities to the best of their abilities. This wasn't easy to learn. There were a lot of times in my life, and I'm sure there will be more times in the future, that I stubbornly have held on to my belief systems. There have been times where I thought that if I opened myself up to hearing from other individuals' perspectives and input, it would mean compromising my values and my belief system. What I have learned is that you can't embrace the process, this process of life, if you aren't willing to open yourself up and to challenge your own assumptions, even those deeply held assumptions that we believe when we know best, we know what is right, we know what the good decision is. More often than not, allowing yourself to open up, to receive input from others who think differently than you, maybe individuals that you even once viewed as opponents or opposition, by allowing yourself to open up and be willing to take in that new information, you create space on both sides for growth. And I've learned that you can't embrace the process without that willingness to grow. However, growth is deeply painful. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to decide that you are willing and ready to step into growing and changing when you initially probably thought that you were right. So, what is courage? I used to think that courage was standing tall in the face of adversity, or maybe being the person that could shout the loudest. What I have learned is that courage is vulnerability. Courage is being willing to say, I don't know the answer, or I'm not sure how to start. Earlier this summer, I stepped into the role of interim CEO at the Sioux Falls YMCA. And I just want to take a moment to say that almost our entire team is here. Thank God they're in the back row. But there's nothing I want less than to stand up here and be vulnerable in front of coworkers that I have to spend 40 hours a week with. So I'm doing this for all of you and for you guys. When I stepped into the role of interim CEO at the Y, I had worked there for about 2 years, and I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew how our programs ran. I thought I knew where we could find opportunities to improve what we were doing. And I thought that there was a way that we could make our youth athletics program better. If you've ever talked to me for more than 5 minutes, you know that athletics are not considered my strong point. But I decided to push forward anyways and force my team to take part in this great change, this great decision, and very quickly realized the gaps that I had in my knowledge and had to go back to my team, my colleagues, and I had to admit to them that I was wrong and that I actually had no idea what I was doing, and I was trying to figure it out. That took courage, and it was not fun. It's not pleasant to admit when you don't have all the answers and when you might be wrong. More than anything, it was really humbling. I've learned that courage is not about being the loudest. It's about taking the step forward even when you can't see the whole path in front of you. Even when the process to get where you want to go is unclear. And even when you are terrified. Courage means beginning anyways. There's no blueprint. Believe me, I've Googled it. And there's no easy way to take that first step except to just do it. As long as you are taking one small step at a time, you are moving forward. You are trusting the process and knowing that it will unfold exactly the way it should for you and your journey. When I started doing the work, I had no clue what I was doing. This is a common theme, by the way, not having a clue what you're doing. But I decided that I wanted to do it anyways. I had this strong desire in me to be a part of something bigger than me. I wanted to change the world around me. I wanted to drive progress for my community. And I slowly realized that trusting the process is a lot less about knowing exactly what you're doing and where you're going, and it's more about challenging yourself to be present, even during the hard, scary, messy, uncertain times. Challenging yourself to do the work with integrity. And being willing, this is a hard one for me, being willing to evolve as you go. There were a lot of individuals that I've worked with in the past that I used to think were the ones standing in the way of progress. I've since learned that as I work alongside these individuals, they are no longer my opponents, but they're my teammates. I think back to my early times in the state legislature, and I remember very clearly having a conversation with somebody that I thought represented everything I was fighting against. And I remember going into this conversation with him, and I was determined to win. I was determined to bring all of my facts and all my data, and I was going to win. I decided 2 minutes before the conversation that I was actually going to try and listen to what he had to say. And what did I learn? was that we actually had way more in common than I thought. This person that I thought represented everything I was fighting against was just like me. He wanted what was best for his community. He wanted what was best for the individuals that we serve. The biggest issue was that we disagreed on how to get there, and that's something that I can work with. I had to challenge my own assumptions, and I had to recognize that, just like me, every individual I come in contact with is doing their best to navigate, like I said, these incredibly complex and individual realities we all live within. I've also learned that this process of progress is not an individual one. It's shared. Progress happens when you let other individuals in, when you are willing to listen and you're willing to learn. Similar to my story about when I thought I knew what was best for my team at the Y, I'm incredibly grateful to my teammates who had the courage to come to me and say, "You were wrong," because that allowed me the space to step back and see how I could grow, both as a leader, as a friend, as a colleague, and as a community member. I have since changed a little bit, not a ton, but I've come around to the idea that it's less about being right all the time, and it's more about doing what is best for everybody. Compromise is not a dirty word, and I've found that the best solutions for our communities, for our families, for our organizations are often found in that middle ground. Meaningful progress happens through collaboration and not through confrontation, like I used to think it did. So what do you do when you don't even know where to begin? You begin anyways. Even when you don't have all the answers, I challenge you to stay curious and to ask questions. And even when you don't know how the path is going to unfold, keep showing up. In the moments of uncertainty, when you think that you have it all figured out, even though you don't, and you open yourself up to possibilities, you create space not just for you, but for everyone around you to grow and to challenge themselves. A couple of individuals who have shared this stage earlier today have touched on the idea that we live in a world that expects us to have everything figured out by a certain milestone or a certain age. And I'm here to remind you all that there's no rush. There are going to be times in your life where the journey feels chaotic and uncertain. You are going to feel like you are pushing a boulder up a never-ending hill. And I say you will because this will happen to you. You're going to stumble, you're going to face obstacles, but I invite you to try and view each of these challenges as opportunities and as new chapters for you to learn and experience something. I also challenge you to be gentle with yourself, and this is one I'm still working on. Learning to embrace the ups and the downs and recognize that your journey is completely unique to you is what will allow you to continue stepping forward and having courage in these unknown arenas that you have yet to see. I'd also like to take just a moment to say that this is a really, really great local author, and you should check him out. So as we leave here today, I'm going to tell you not to embrace the journey, but instead challenge yourself to embrace your journey. No matter where you are, there's always a new opportunity, there's always a new challenge, there's always a new chapter, and the courage to begin is what sets that in motion. I also want everyone in here, I'm not going to make you close your eyes, but I want you to think back to a time that there was a challenge that you absolutely did not think you could overcome. A time when there was an issue in front of you that was so difficult, maybe it kept you awake at night, maybe you cried over it. There was something in your life that you thought you could never survive. But here you are. Everything in your life has given you the tools, the skills, and the resilience that you need to face every challenge that is in front of you and that is yet to come. So knowing that you have within you all of the tools that you need to succeed, I challenge you to find that courage and to take that first step into a new opportunity. You have all the tools you need. You are fully equipped to tackle whatever comes your way in the days, weeks, and years to come. Trust yourself. You have built all of the strength that you need. So as we leave here today, I'm going to leave you with just a few little tips. 1, continue to show up, even when it's hard, uncomfortable, and messy. 2, do the work. Showing up means nothing if we don't have the work and the action to help lift up what we're saying. Have the courage to begin, even when you can't see where the path in front of you is going to lead, and even when the next step and the next step feels uncertain. And finally, trust the process. Everything that you have ever faced in your life has brought you to this exact moment and has given you everything you need for the challenges yet to come. Thank you.